Hey guys, and it's Cameron back with another DC Cinematic Universe video. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Metal Men movie that should be coming out soon. Because it was confirmed by Men in Black director Barry Sonnefeld that there is going to be a Metal Men movie, which I think is a really cool direction to go in the DC Cinematic Universe, simply because this will be an almost all CGI movie. And I don't know that much about the Metal Men, but I do know enough to do this video. Just that pretty much I think I read one of their origin stories once. And so pretty much Dr. Will Magnus, who's a really genius, like a doctor, scientist, or whatever, and he makes a kind of like false intelligence and puts it into 5 robots that are different elements of the element table, I think it's called, but this is pretty complicated stuff. But, so there's platinum, tin, mercury, lead, iron, and gold. They all have specific, abilities based on the original element from the, table. So, it's really cool it's a really cool idea. So, first things first, I'll talk a little bit about how they could fit into the cinematic universe. They also did confirm a bunch of movies like Fables and 100 Bullets, but the thing with those is they wouldn't fit into the mainstream universe. They'd have to, it's already in kind of an alternate universe, so it would have to be like a parallel or alternate movie universe, which is a really cool idea. So, anyways, back to the Metal Men. I do believe the Metal Men should be in the Justice League universe, simply because they are in the same universe in the comics. And that's the only reason why Fables and 100 Bullets would not be in the mainstream universe, because they aren't in the same universe in the comics. They're in different universes. Sorry if I'm speaking fast. I'm just trying to get a lot done quickly. So, I'm not only going to have the Metal Men in this movie because they need a little push. They're pretty unknown. Not many people know about the Metal Men, and that can go pretty bad for you in the box office. So, I am going to put one of the Justice League members into this movie, who is actually in the Metal Men, not as a member, but he's in the Metal Men New 52 comics, which is Ray Fisher's Cyborg. And this would give both characters a push, as I really hope that people will have gotten attached to him in the Justice League movie. Because that's kind of the point of a movie, to try and get you attached to the characters. So, he comes over to give that a bit of a push. I wouldn't put him in the title, but I would put him in the preview and the trailer, just so that people are like, wow, that's the guy from Justice League. We should go check that out. And that's also a way of connecting the universes. Now, you can't just throw him in, because that wouldn't make sense. So what I would do is I would tweak Cyborg's origin story and maybe make Cyborg's parents and Dr. Will Magnus fellow co-workers, and Dr. Will Magnus helped create a Cyborg. Victor Stone helped turn Victor Stone into Cyborg after his accident. So that's how they could fit him into that movie. And it's also a really cool concept, because you have the Metal Men, and then you have a half metal, half human guy mixed in with that. So it's really cool. So now I'll get on to casting the Metal Men, and I will admit this took me a while, because usually I just look at like stuff from TV shows and comics, but I don't have any Metal Men comics, and there was never really a TV show about the Metal Men. So Dr. Will Magnus was one of the easier ones to cast, and I cast him as Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And you might say that, well, he's Sandman in the DC Sandman movie. And I say to that, no, he's not. He's directing and producing, I think. Maybe not directing, but he's definitely producing. He's been rumored to play Sandman, but I really don't think he's going to play Sandman, because I don't think that's the right fit for him. I think Dr. Will Magnus is, and he can play a smart guy. And obviously, Dr. Will Magnus has to be a smart guy. He can also play a charming guy, and Dr. Will Magnus is a charming billionaire, somewhat kind of like Bruce Wayne, but he's not dark. He's all light and happy and cracks jokes sometimes. So, there you have Dr. Will Magnus is Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Runner-up for me was Seth MacFarlane. I thought that would be an interesting choice, but my big problem with that is we've never actually seen him in person act, only do voiceovers. So next up is the only lady of the Metal Men, is Platinum. And this was another pretty easy choice. To play Platinum, you have to be a pretty innocent person who doesn't really know the harsh things that go on in the world. And that, for me, was obviously Alison Brie, or Barry, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but her character, I forget the name, in Community, it's Platinum, pretty much. So, that's really what broke it, and she looks a lot like Platinum, so, like most of the Metal Men I'm going to cast, you would be able to use her body as a base for the CGI, kind of like they did with Jim Carrey in The Mask, but they're going to use more CGI in this, and that's my pick for Platinum. Next up is Tin. This was another decently easy choice. For this, I chose Seth Green as mainly the voice, because Tin is kind of portrayed as a kid, so I would maybe get in a kid actor to do the body base for the CGI, or they could do a more adult Tin, which I would also be fine with, and seems more realistic in the real world, because why is Dr. Will Magnus going to make a kid to be in his superhero team? So, well, never mind. That could actually work, because it's an experiment. But back to Seth Green, the reason I chose him was because he can play a shy, timid kid. He plays Chris Griffin in Family Guy, if you didn't already know, and he's a really shy, timid kid there. So that's who I'd pick for Tin. And then for Mercury, I picked Johnny Knoxville. So the reason I picked Johnny Knoxville for Mercury is he's obviously a guy that can get in under your skin. He's annoying, I guess you could kind of say. He's got a decently higher pitched voice. He played old grandpa and Bad Grandpa, and Mercury's always been kind of like a crabby old man type character, his personality. So that's definitely a good fit, and once again, you could use his body as a base for CGI, because Mercury is not a real fit guy, and Johnny Knoxville isn't fat or anything. So there you go, there's your base there's Mercury, And next up is Lead. This was one of the harder ones, because I just had no ideas, but eventually I made a pick and just said, wow, that's what I want to do. So it's my pick for Lead is Bob Sapp. If you're unfamiliar with him, he hasn't been in many movies, but the main reason I'm choosing him is because of his performance in The Longest Yard, where he plays Swatowski, I think it is, who's a really dumb, caring, innocent guy. And that, to me, is what Lead is. And may I remind you that in The Longest Yard, Swatowski is massive, and so is Bob Sapp, because he was a former UFC, I think, so they could use his body for the base of CGI as well. And next up is Iron, and for this, you may definitely not have heard of this guy, but his name is Darius McCraney, and I was pretty unfamiliar with him before, but I was kind of looking up voice actors, and in the Transformers, he plays Jazz. So Jazz is like a cool guy who's a cool guy, yeah. So, and for me, Iron was going to be kind of like the party guy, the cool guy out of the group, because they all have different personalities. So, there's some... Granny can definitely play that cool guy who's got, like, the heavy accent, and he'd also add, like, more diversity to the cast, like, just being able to hear that he is, he's that type of cool hood guy. So, next up is Gold, and Gold was the last person I cast, because it was hard to find somebody. So when I think about Gold, he's kind of like a really good leader Boy Scout, a little bit like Leonardo, but even more of a Boy Scout than Leonardo. He always wants to do the right thing. And for this I chose Channing Tatum. He has been in the running to play Gambit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But even if he does, he's just doing the voice for Gold. But you could base the CGI off of his body because he is pretty fit. So that is that's my choice for Gold. And so let me know what you guys think about these castings down below. And I'll look into doing a villain episode for the Metal Men, but I do not know too much about the Metal Men's villains. All I know is there is Chemo, who would be a really cool choice for the movie, and then maybe tie him in with Amanda Waller, and then tie her in with the Justice League, which is yet another way to connect the universe. So, that is my cast for Metal Men. Thank you for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. My next video will be casting the 5 Green Lanterns. I talked about it in my last video. So, go and check out my last video, and then when I post the Green Lantern video, check that out too. So, thanks for watching, guys. As I said, always like, comment, and subscribe.